Hey guys, it's Echo. I've been super interested in VTubing for a while. I think the whole concept is so cool. Using a puppeted 2D drawing to animate a little sprite for yourself, it's incredible and has so much room for creative potential. But it also takes a lot of tools to get working, tools that I don't really have any way of getting a hold of. So I thought I would go for the next best thing, a PNG tuber. I'm certain most of you know what I'm talking about, but for those of you who aren't familiar with the tubing world, a PNG tuber is a lot like a VTuber in that it's a little sprite that represents you while you either stream or record content. It opens its mouth while you talk, and you can toggle through various expressions, and you can even animate it if you so desire. What makes it different, and therefore much easier to set up, is it doesn't track your movements. It opens its mouth off sound, does things like blink on a timer, and loops whatever animation you set to it. While I didn't really expect learning how to make a PNG tuber would be particularly difficult, I do know programs can get pretty complicated pretty fast, so I found myself a tutorial to follow. I chose Blue Biscuit's How to Make a Mouse Tracking PNG Tuber, which I will have linked below if you want to try your own hand at the process. I will warn you, it's not even a year old at the time of writing the script, and it's already pretty out of date, so I'll be sharing what I figure out as I go with you. To start off, I, of course, needed to draw up a base for my PNG tuber. Making a PNG tuber is a little different drawing-wise than a typical illustration, at least in how I make most illustrations. Specifically, you have to think about how you want your drawing to be separated. Each part that you draw separate can move and be animated differently on the final model, but in order to do so, you have to make sure there are appropriately overlapping colors and lines. There needs to be enough extra color that when a piece moves, the pieces behind it don't show the background, but not so much that you cover up the parts below it. I'm going to be super honest, it kind of hurts my brain a little. I don't consider myself a particularly slow learner for most things, but something about this really just was not lining up in my brain. But I got it to work, and I'm pretty proud of the final product for the base. And with that out of the way, let's get into some PNG Tube Remix, the program. Okay, so I've gotten this loaded in, the PNG Tuber. As you can see, it's just all of the layers just sort of stuffed in. So let's get a little bit of stuff kind of moved around. I know over here we can start combining things into layers. So I'm just basically making, according to the tutorial I was basing off of from Blue Biscuit, we're making parent and then child relationships between the pieces, where the parent piece, whatever animation I apply to the parent piece, the child piece will be sort of put along with it. So we're going to go ahead and put everything that's connected to the head under the head, because I want it to be able to track my mouse movement later, and then everything that goes under everything else will go connected to the body, and at the end I will also put the head connected to the body so that when the body moves, the head also does. Now, we have everything under parent-child relationships. That's great, but as you can see, it's a little bit scary as the hair has moved to the front and other things have moved towards the back. So we're going to go ahead and start trying to move things. The Z order over here under properties is where you can change the layer order, which one's going to be in the front, which one's going to be in the back. The smaller the number, the further back it goes. So now that that's at -2, it's been set behind everything else. For the most part, it's looking pretty much where I want it, to be honest. I'm probably not going to mess with it too much, because it kind of came in the way I wanted it. But yeah, you would go through and change the Z orders to make sure everything that you want is in the right order. And then we're going to go ahead and start trying to figure out how to make the blinking and stuff work. I think it's under should blink here, should talk and should blink. I played with this a little bit outside of this and got it working. So we're going to take the parts that, I wonder if you are in front. I think you should be, but just in case, we'll go up 1 in the Z order. And then the hair pieces will go up 2, because they are the very front. But when you click these pieces, then you go to the should blink under reaction, and this is one of the open eye pieces, so we'll click it on open, and you want every piece that would be considered an open eye piece to go under should blink open, and then when you want it the closed eyes, you click that, should blink closed. And there we go, it's already starting to blink a little bit. Once we get to the mouth, it's the same thing but for should talk. This one is the open mouth, so we'll hit open. And this is the closed mouth, so we hit closed. Very good. Now it's not opening it and closing its mouth, which earlier I had to change the audio settings on Remix to basically lower the volume threshold, and once I did that, it would start opening its mouth. It does have a really intense delay, and I don't want that, so I'm going to raise the delay button all the way up here. So basically it's just opening and closing its mouth as soon as I start talking. The sensitivity, let's raise the sensitivity a bit, I think, because now it should be picking it up more easily. Biggest issue is it may pick up my mouse. Yeah, it does. That's okay though. Maybe we'll just do this, yeah. As long as I speak relatively loudly, it shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, that's how you're gonna get it to, if it's not picking up your volume to open and close its mouth, that's how you get that going, which is pretty great. Now, let's get some minor animations. This is where it starts to get kind of confusing for me, so we're going to be playing around a little bit, but we're going to start with a following the mouse movement for the head. No, not controller, mouse. Right now, as you can see, it's on follow mouse, but it's not going to do anything. But these range X and range Y maximums are the thing that you mostly want. If you want to have things moving, you're going to hit Control click to create a... there we go. Control click creates the anchor point, so now if I hit auto rotation, on that little plus sign there, it's so scary. The head starts rotating. And yeah, that is sort of where the animations are going to be based off of. And I have it right at the base of the neck here, so that the head looks like it's swiveling where it's supposed to. I'm going to just test like 15, let's say, for the range X max. Yeah, it seems, maybe I could even go a little higher, to be honest, but not much, because this neck is going to start being a problem. 20 maybe? Yeah, that seems pretty good. So if 20 is good, then would 20 be good here? As you can see, now it's following my mouse around. Very cool. And I want a little bit of the same for the body, but I only want it to be like a 5 maybe for this. So yeah, there we go. So that there's just a little bit of shift as it's going. I think the head needs to be just a little bit less because it's so showing a little bit occasionally. Oh, never mind. We're good. Well, at the very top, but I think it's okay. It occasionally shows just a little bit of where the hatching no longer reaches at the neck. So maybe I do want the head to come down back to 15. But you just get to just play with those numbers until it's where you want it. And you can also kind of do a fun thing where you make the eyes follow more severely. So let's say that we're going to 30. Because of how I drew the pupil over on this side, I can't have it go particularly further left than it does right now. But we can have it go right, so that's okay. I still think 25 is a little bit too much on the up end. So let's go to 23. And then click somewhere else. Yeah, that looks nice. And see, now there's like an extra movement where the eyes are following the mouse, and the body's a little bit as well. I think I want the body to be just a little bit less because of where it disconnects from the table. So the range, I can never remember if X or Y is up or down. Yeah, like that. And I'm just gonna fiddle with these settings until I get it to where I like it. And once I got that done, I'm going to go ahead and go to the body, and now I want there to be like an animation for while it talks. And I don't know where that's going to be, so let's look. Oh, this is interesting. Follow appendage, that's probably important. Oh, here we go. So if we bounce while changing states, one bounce. Yeah, so now there's like a slight bounce every time I start talking, kind of indicating a change in what's happening. I like that. Okay. So under here, you can choose while it's just sitting with its mouth closed. You can have it do stuff like if it just sits and squishes. I'm not a huge fan of the like squish and bounce. I find it like weirdly uncanny to see the whole body sort of doing that, but I know a lot of people like to play around with the squish animations. So that's definitely something to consider doing. It adds a lot of life into the model, if nothing else. I want mine to be pretty simple. I just want it to be able to follow the movement, and I want for sort of the last animation for there to be a little bit of movement in this one, which means I'll create an anchor point, which for a reminder, it will now spin like on that point. And I just want a tiny bit of rotation when it talks, if I can. So let's see. I have it follow option rotation, range X maximum, let's say 5 of each of these. I'm not sure that's enough for me to see a difference. So let's see if we change it to like 15 just to see what these do. Range Y value doesn't change much. So let's go to that. Oh, it's because we're in the wrong thing. So here's the rotation amount. 5 is the max. Yeah, I do not know how to do this. Okay, so having played around with it a bit, basically you want to have a minimum rotation and a maximum rotation for the rotation. The minimum is which is this direction, and the maximum is this direction. And now I have just a little bit of a rotation as I talk. I can move my mouse around and it'll follow. I also really want to have the hair pieces sort of bounce with the, like a little extra movement, preferably while I like talk, but I don't know how to do that. I do think that I could follow through with some of the other motion using this, but so let's set the anchor points and then experiment with that a little bit. Okay, so basically I decided I liked a little bit of stretch on mine, just to give it a little bit of like fun movement. And if you do the follow through area, then it will all of these settings specifically have to do with when the rest of the model moves, how is it going to move. So for right here, if I look around, there's just a little bit of hair movement, and if I talk without moving my mouse, then the hair also kind of moves. And that is exactly what I want. Yeah. So that's about what I wanted to do with my model. Obviously, you can absolutely go in and do way more stuff with your models if it's something you're interested in. There's this animation tab that I didn't even mess with. I'm kind of scared of it. But like, ooh, rainbow. Now it's going to go through a rainbow probably. Let's see, fade. Set it to like, yeah. Now you can have it like fade through a rainbow if you want it to. I don't want it to, but you can have it animate to follow. You can do a bunch of stuff, but I mostly just wanted to have a pretty simple one that follows my movements and bounces just a little bit when I talk. So pretty straightforward. Down here, there is another thing where you can add different expressions. So right now I'm on just sort of the standard cheerful version, standard conversation. I think anyway. I might be wrong. I think I wasn't. I think I now have to redo everything I just did. But that's okay. You use these, apparently click this first. Make sure you click this first, but you can use these to make a bunch of different expressions. So once I go in and draw more expressions, I'll be able to go in and add them to this so that you can toggle between them. So yeah, you get to have fun with that. And yeah, let's head to the conclusion for script writing, Echo. Making a PNG tuber is kind of intimidating when you just look at the program, but it doesn't really take much experimenting to start finding things you like. I didn't even really dig my teeth into all the squash and stretch stuff you can do, but just because it's not really to my personal taste, I definitely encourage you to play around with it if you want to, though. It's a ton of fun. I'm really looking forward to all of the ways that I can use this in my future videos. Let me know in the comments below what kind of expressions and poses you think I should add into my collection and what you would want to see from me in the future. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next one.